A short time ago, an American airplane dropped one bomb on Hiroshima and destroyed its usefulness to the enemy. That bomb has more power than 20,000 tons of TNT. It is an atomic bomb. It is a harnessing of the basic power of the universe. The force from which the sun draws its power has been loosed against those who brought war to the Far East. We have spent more than $2 billion on the greatest scientific gamble in history, and we have won.
From 1941 to 1945, the United States fought Japan in World War II, which was one of the deadliest wars to ever be fought. After the events at Pearl Harbor, which took the lives of 2,000 Americans, the United States declared war on Japan. Throughout the war, the United States faced mighty resistance from the Japanese, who refused to surrender. After many battles fought and hundreds of thousands of lives lost, President Truman and the U.S. military met to discuss the plan against Japan. The United States had to compromise on the decision to drop the atomic bomb by debating whether the dropping was too inhumane, but also weighing the cost of American lives in a ground invasion against the cost of Japanese lives by dropping the atomic bomb and doing what was best for the United States. Truman and his military advisors heavily debated on this topic, and they all had different opinions. The United States eventually compromised on the decision to drop the atomic bomb. On August 6, 1945, Hiroshima was bombed. 3 days later, Nagasaki received the same fate. When it came to attacking Japan, a land invasion was widely regarded as the best method. Known as Operation Downfall, the United States would send millions of troops, as well as 400 destroyers, 24 battleships, and 48 aircraft carriers towards the Japanese home islands of Honshu and Kyushu. Aided by Europe, the United States would be within range of Tokyo, forcing the Japanese surrender. In the end, it wasn't Operation Downfall that forced the surrender, but the atomic bomb. The reason the United States chose the atomic bomb over a ground invasion was because of how costly it would be.
They were fierce fighters, like Iwo Jima and those kind of things. They fought right, till the last guy was killed. Like they only took in Okinawa, I think they only took 100 prisoners out of 50,000 troops of Japan. They ended up still alive. They just fought to the end.
It was estimated to be around 5 million casualties, dwarfing D-Day. The Japanese resisted, as shown by the Pacific Wars, and when the United States invaded tiny territories, around 35% of the troops were killed. Conventional bombing was another option that was presented. From June of 1944 to the end of the war, in August of 1945, the United States had relentlessly bombed Japan. The United States had dropped over 150,000 tons of bombs on the Japanese, resulting in over 400,000 casualties and wiping out a quarter of all the housing in the country. 9 million people were homeless, and most of the capital of Tokyo was destroyed. However, through all this, the Japanese refused to surrender. Japan's stubborn resistance proved for a far more powerful force to the end of the war. It was clear that conventional bombing of Japan was not effective. During Truman's and the military's debate on how to end the war, it was determined that the atomic bomb was the answer. But how would they present this brand new superpower to the world? One idea that was proposed was to demonstrate the power of the atomic bomb on an unpopulated area, frightening the Japanese and forcing a surrender without casualties. However, there were many flaws with this plan, thus why the United States decided not to use this option. There was no say on how long it would take the Japanese to come to a decision. They had already resisted mightily and had not decided to surrender. The United States would have wasted one of their only 2 atomic bombs, as well as given Japan time to make reinforcements and counter the bomb. Another concern was, if the atomic bomb, which was presented to the whole world, turned out to be a fail, it would make the Japanese more confident and encourage them to fight harder and stronger. Testing the bomb, which would use 50% of the United States nuclear arsenal, was not worth it. The United States' final option was to drop the atomic bomb on a populated area. This was their final decision. When deciding on a location, the United States decided that they would drop it on a city that hadn't been damaged by conventional bombing. This would highlight the destruction of the bomb. On August 6, 1945, American aircraft, the Enola Gay, dropped the first atomic bomb over Hiroshima. After Japan refused to surrender, a second one was dropped on Nagasaki. In total, an estimated 250,000 people died, and far more were injured and suffered from radiation and died years later. The United States' controversial decision to use the most destructive weapon at the time was the result of Japan's unwillingness to surrender, which called for a greater mean of destruction. By dropping the atomic bomb, the United States saved millions of lives on both sides, compared to using a ground invasion or air raids.
We helped build up their industries again. We gave them food. We gave them clothing. All the things they would need to live. They became more westernized. You know, they freed up the way they used to treat women was a little backward. You know, the woman especially, I think, had more freedom.
The atomic bomb had affected the war in many ways and influenced conflicts today, like the Cold War in North Korea. Many first world countries possess these weapons, and it has affected the way we think and act in war.
It's made war, as we know it, any major war, it made it unthinkable. And it's terrible, it's unthinkable if atomic bombs are being pointed at each other because they can land on a city and wipe out millions of people. It made a terrible effect on the world, I think.
No atomic bomb has been dropped since the two fateful days in August, but the time may be coming soon.